Hey there, I'm Ari from the Tech Buyers Guru, and I've got another PC buyer's guide for you here on the channel today. This time around, I'm going to be sharing my $1,500 high-end gaming PC buyer's guide for late 2020 heading into early 2021. Now, I'm not going to mince words. Some of the components I'm going to be recommending are going to be very hard to find in stock, and that's because they are so great. Starting with the Ryzen 5 5600X. Now, if you're lucky enough to find this in stock, you are going to be treated to some great gaming capability at $300. It's a 6-core 12-thread processor, and it really is a huge step above previous AMD processors and easily beats Intel's 6-core processors as well. Now, it came out at $300 on November 5th and promptly sold out and hasn't been seen since. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, it's going to be in stock, but I wouldn't cross my fingers. And as an alternative, I'm going to suggest the older Ryzen 7 3700X that I have here. Now, this is an 8-core, 16-thread processor, so in content creation apps, it actually could get ahead of the Ryzen 5, but because it's lower in terms of instructions per clock cycle or IPC, overall, it's not as good in games. But if you want to build this PC for multiple purposes, actually the 3700X is a pretty good deal at around $300, and it's going to be something you'll find in stock, unlike its newer Zen 3 based cousin, the 5600X. Both CPUs come with a cooler in the box. You get the Wraith Stealth with the 5600X or the Wraith Prism RGB with the 3700X, and that saves you a lot of money. Now, in terms of video cards, we have a very similar situation. I'm going to be recommending the RTX 3070 for this build. It comes in right around $500, at least that's the MSRP, but a lot of the models I've been seeing that are listed, not even available, but listed for sale, are quite a bit more than that, and I factor that into the $1,500 budget. Now, the RTX 3070 is an amazing GPU. It debuted on October 29th, sold out immediately, hasn't been seen since. Hopefully, again, by the time you watch this video, you'll find it in stock. It matches the previous gen RTX 2080 Ti that sold for $1,200, and we're talking about a $500 GPU. At most, you'll pay $600 for it if you buy the overclocked version with the biggest cooler like the one I have here from EVGA, but frankly, they're all a pretty good deal. Now, I know there's a competing GPU from AMD, and that's great news. I'm all for that. The RX 6800 16GB from AMD, that's going to be potentially available as well, but my guess is it's going to be just as hard to come by, if not harder to come by, than the RTX series. It retails for $580. Expect to see that well above $600 from most manufacturers. And that really puts us well above the budget I have in mind for this $1,500 build. So I'm a little less comfortable recommending the RX 6000 series because I know you're going to be paying more than $600 for that. And that really puts us above budget. So that's why I'm going to go with the RTX 3070. You're not going to be disappointed. Now, in terms of the motherboard, because we do have an AMD CPU, we're going to go with a B550 board. Now, I'll be showcasing the X570E gaming motherboard from Asus in this video, but that's only because I picked this up before B550 models hit the market. If you're shopping today with a $1,500 budget, definitely go with B550. The only thing you lose is some PCIe Gen 4 lanes that you really don't need for a gaming build. And specifically, I'm going to recommend you go with one of the lower cost boards from ASRock. These are great boards. No, they don't have the beefy VRMs or all the power stages, but you don't need that for this build because you're going with an efficient processor. Either the Ryzen 5 5600X or the Ryzen 7 3700X. These are 65-watt processors, and throwing a ton of money at a beefy VRM and a power stage on an expensive motherboard is a waste of money when you're using these CPUs. Save that money and allocate it for something else that will actually get you better performance. Now, in terms of RAM, I'm going to give you two different options. If you want to maximize your performance, you're going to want to go with DDR4 3600. I'm going to suggest either a kit from Patriot Viper or a kit from Crucial, their new Ballistics RAM. Now, if you want a little bit more bling in your system, I recommend the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro kit. For the same price, you're going to have to drop down to DDR4 3200, but because most games don't really respond to RAM speeds, I think that's totally a safe bet and definitely worth it if you want the look of this great RGB kit. On the other hand, if you totally are focused on performance and want to maximize frame rates in every single game, go with one of the DDR4 3600 kits that I recommended. In terms of the SSD, you're going to be going with a PCIe Gen 3 drive, specifically one from XPG. I recommend either the Gamix S11 or the SX8200 Pro. Now, this may be shocking to some of you, but these are actually the exact same drives underneath the heatsinks. Yes, I've checked. I own them both. They are actually identical underneath those heat shields. They're the same drive, just marketed differently. Pick whichever one is cheaper. Keeping in mind, these are both very fast PCIe Gen 3 drives with TLC NAND flash. Now, in terms of the power supply, I'm really excited that the RM series is back in stock from Corsair. This is a great gold-rated, fully modular series. I'm going to recommend the RM750X for this build. Starts at around $125, $130. The RMX series was actually sold out from March of 2020 all the way through October 2020, but thankfully it's back on store shelves and it's a great PSU for the money. You get that gold rating, the fully modular cables. You also have the zero fan mode, so it's silent at idle, and it's compatible with Corsair's awesome individually sleeved cable kits. These come in a variety of colors, and you can also get either the starter kit, which I recommend for this system, or the full pro kit if you have a lot of higher end gear. But for now, I would actually recommend the starter kit because it has all the cables you'll need for the components I'm going to spec out. Now, in terms of the case, I'm really excited to present to you the 4000D Airflow from Corsair. Corsair is back in black, guys. I know that a lot of you are probably familiar with some of their leading cases from many years ago when they were the top-selling gaming case manufacturer. Somewhere along the way, they did take a detour towards blinging it up with a lot of glass and RGB, and that was cool for a while, but it wasn't performance-oriented. And in this build, I want to be all about performance, and that is what the 4000D Airflow is going to offer you at $80. You cannot find a better case at this price point if you're worried about performance. And frankly, I think it looks great too without needing to use RGBs to bling it up. It's definitely channeling some of the older Obsidian cases that would cost twice as much, be a lot fiddlier to work with, and frankly, didn't offer the same performance. So honestly, this is a great new case from Corsair. I'm so glad that Corsair is back in the game. Now that completes the build list other than Windows 10, which I am including in that $1,500 budget. Don't forget, you do need an OS. And with that, I'm going to give you a couple of insights into the build experience, showcasing some of the steps along the way, and then I'm going to present to you the completed $1,500 high-end gaming PC build. So that wraps up this buyer's guide. If you have any questions about this PC, please post them down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, definitely give me a like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.